Welcome back to Tyrants on the Field. As always, I'm your host, Joe. Great to be back. We are talking WTC. Yeah, that's right. List lock has occurred. Lists have been published, and now it's time for the endless speculation and list deep diving prior to the event. So I wish everyone that's part of it great luck and great success, particularly the American teams. That's who I'm rooting for, but I've got a soft spot in my heart for Spain. So let's not too much further ado. Let's go ahead and get into some of these numbers. Okay. So quite a diverse spread overall, but one of the things that was interesting to me in particular is the new versus old skew. So how many folks took a new army? How many folks took a legacy army? So broke this down by team and then ultimately consolidated by country because I think that's a little more telling of where metas are and where folks are kind of at from an acquisition standpoint. So today, Sweden has 3 teams. Sweden is running of those 15 potential players. 2 of those players are running new lists, and 13 of those players are running legacy lists. So they work out to be about 87% on the old guard and 13% of the new school stuff. So interesting. Canada fielding 1 team, clearly in a rebuilding mode. Their ratio is a little bit interesting. They took about 20% new lists and 1% and 80% old. So they've got 1 new list going, and the rest are legacy lists. Germany, we see a very similar ratio, although we have far more players. Again, Germany fielding 3 full teams. They've taken 3 new lists and 12 legacy lists, again for an 80-20 split. Then we get to Spain, and this is why Spain is my pet heroes of this WTC. They have taken 4 new factions and 1 legacy list. So they're an 80-20 split to the new. France has gone utterly old school. It is all legacy all the time in France. Now we pop over the channel to England. England again fielding a single team. They have sort of what I felt was going to be the more common mix, which was 2 new armies to 3 legacy armies. So again, a 40-60 split overall. Then we get to Team Americas, or the American teams. America's fielding 3 teams, 15 players. They have 7 new lists, 7 players playing new factions, 8 players playing legacy factions for a 47-53 split. Darn near 50-50, which was very nice to see. Not unsurprising, in America, we have had the best access to the product, and I know that is also a factor that is probably lagging some of these countries from adopting some of the newer armies and getting enough playtime with them. Then we pop over to Denmark, and we have 2 teams for a total of 10 players. We've got 2 players playing new armies and 8 players playing legacy armies for, again, that 20-80 split between new and old. Belgian, single team, same story. Again, single list playing new armies and 4 lists playing legacy armies for, again, that 80-20 split. Similar with the Finns. Finland's fielding 2 teams, 10 players. Again, 2 players with new list and 8 players playing legacy lists. So again, a 20-80 split. Norway, a little bit rougher for the new list here. Again, 2 teams for 10 players, a single new school player, and 9 legacy armies being played for a 10-90 split between new and old. Portugal, very fervently old school, all legacy there with their one team. On the Merc team, again, we see the golden ratio of uh, two new armies and then 3 legacy armies for that 40-60 split. And then South Africa, again, goose egg in the new, and then 5 legacy armies. Again, for a total of 23% new armies being played and 77% legacy armies being fielded. So let's talk a little bit about what is sort of driving this when we look at the larger pie of the numbers. When we get into that, we do see a strong skew toward retribution and mercenaries. I see a very high concentration of dark operations, very high concentrations of Italian charter, and a very, very high concentrations of shadows. But again, no single theme is taking up more than 10% of the field. Red has the most at 9.5, and then there's sort of a traffic jam just below that of Signar, mostly new Signar when we talk there, although there are not an insignificant amount of First Army as well. Then we talk Dark Operations. We have Orgoth and Legion, each with about 7.5% of the pie. And we continue around the circle. So again, then we have Orgoth and Ravens, about 7.5%. Dark Operations, 7.5%. Grimkin, 5.8%. Infernals at 5%. New Cador at 5%. Italian Charter, 5%. Dark Host at 3.3%. Crucible Guard, about 3.3%. Secret Dominion Circle at 3.3, Legions of Dawn at 3.3, Convergence at 2.5, Final Interdiction around 2.5, Storm of the North 2.5, Devourer's Host 2.5, again some more Circle there. We've got some 5th Division, a little bit of First Army at 2.5%, 1.7% Dusk. There are two Dusk armies on the field. Army of the Western Reaches and Exalted, each with 1.7%, Rule at 0.08, or Rule at 1.7, and Storm Knights at 0.08. And then there's 1 or 2 lists that I'm missing. The only thing that's really not being played is Minions, and that's very disappointing. Personally, as somebody that enjoys Minions, I think they should have been there. But I digress. So what does this field tell us? Well, it tells us a couple of things. One, the new structure means that it's pretty difficult to do some of those mono faction builds that you had in the past because there's just not as many casters to allow for those type of team structures and team builds. So this is one of the reasons that you're seeing this sort of widespread distribution. One of the other reasons you're seeing this widespread distribution is there's some very obvious archetypes that are sort of prevalent in the meta right now. Those two sort of constructs are a def skew, tough skew, body skew infantry build, and just sort of mass boxes. So that's really sort of the two alpha tier bits that you see in the meta. Those are sort of represented by the high amount of Storm Legion, the high amount of Shadows of Retribution, and the high amount of Dark Operations. And to a lesser extent, the Italian Charter, but also similar builds with Fiona. So those are kind of the two bits that are at the top, and then it's figuring out how your team can, one, exploit those, and two, and leverage those to victory. And the other bit is having tools to fight against those um, within the team structure. So let's get into team structures next. So Sweden has a couple of very interesting team compositions. The first one is Team Sweden Hell. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that. But they are running Crucible Guard, Crix, Infernals, Grimkin, and Retribution. So just pulling up the Crucible Guard lists. They're running Lucas, and they're running Gearhart. So it looks like pretty standard Gearhart list with a Vulcan, and pretty stock standard Lucas list with Liberator, double Vanguard, and then a couple of Mentalists, all the mechanics, Mosby, Gorman, Magnus, the Unstoppable with Invictus, two Rocketman Stingers, two Tracers, and two Crucible Guard Assault Troopers, and a Dragon's Breath Rocket. And in Vulcan, you got Mr. Clog, Retaliator, Vanguard, Vulcan, Senate Mentalist, Alice Mark, three mechanics, Mosby, double Crucible Assault Trooper, double Crucible Guard Infantry with single Crucible Guard Infantry with Standard Bearer, and a Crucible Guard Stormtrooper and Dragon Breath Rocket. So again, a lot of bodies in that list. On the Crixian side, we've got some Black Fleet. We've got Akios coming in with an interesting package of Cryptus, Reaper, Scavenger, Double Shrike, Slayer, and Double Slayer, Wraithbane, or Axia Wraithbane, Blade, Blood Priestess, Severa Blacktide, Double Statixis Gunslingers, uh, Double Dread Seers, and Ogren Smog Belchers. And they're backed up by Scar, Admiral of Black Fleet, Double Leviathan Sepulchre, X-Area, Gearlock, Single Misery Cage, Statistics, Blood Priestess, Unit of Blood Gorgers with Jessica Bloodtongue, Double Statistics Raiders with Sea Witch, and a single unit of Dirt Seers in that list with some defenses. Followed on by Infernals. We've got Agathon with fairly standard build, Forebodar, Double Soul Strike, Double Stalker, Tormentor, Obscurity, Regina with a Forebodar, Hermit, Tavaros, Nicaea, Saxon, Triple Wretch, Valiant, Crow's Cutthroats, Cultist Band, three Perceptor, Orin Midwinter, and another Cultist Band. And then also Zetaroth, a Forebodar, triple Soulstalker, Garrity, Regina with a Lamenter, Hermit, Viros, Saxon, Triple Wretch, double Cultist Band, Orin Midwinter, and two Grievous Swarms. then they have Grimkin Player, who's running the Child, Cage Raider, Double Skin and Moan, Slaughterhouse, Death Knell, Grave Ghoul, two Gremlin Swarms, Isaiah, Lady Cariana Rose, and Twilight Sisters. And then the other list is playing Zakova, or Plain Old Witch, a Cage Rager, double Cravat, a Gorehound Rattler, Long Tongue, Ghost Ghoul, Isaiah, a double Malady Men, double Slayer, double A Slayers, with War Horses, double Piggybacks with Officers. So a lot of beef in the Zerkova list. A lot of beasts in the Child list with the Slaughterhouse as well. So interesting wrinkles there with what they're bringing. Little surprising not to see Dreadrots in the Child list, especially with the volume of Skin and Moans that they're running. But we'll see how that plays. And then they end up with a Retribution Player playing Gareth, double Banshee, Hyperion, Moros, the Arcanic Force Generator, triple mech, triple mechanics, triple Void Tracer, Silas, Mage Hunter Strike Force with Commander, and Spears of Syra. And then running Thyron with double Aspis, Banshee, double Mechanic, double Mage Hunter, Narn, 3 Void Tracers, 2 units of Swordsman with Commander, 2 units of Mage Hunter Infiltrators, 2 units of Mage Hunter Strike Force, each with a Commander, and Spears of Syra, triple barrier. So that's sort of the flavor of the Thyron list, which is really going to be used to dictate matchup here. Then you have some other interesting puzzles to solve across the board with the list that they're presenting. So they've got some very interesting choices and bits that are going to go into the matchup process from both sides. I think that they've got a good general ability to play into a variety of lists, including sort of the infantry heavy skews that are sort of dominating the concepts. They're playing one of them themselves, and then they have some interesting takes on potentially how to clear through that, and a couple lists that are very good at cracking armor. So be interesting to see how this team performs. I think they've got some excellent chances, depending on their road. Sweden Utgard is playing Circle, double Mercenaries, another Ret, and a Orgoth. So let's get into the lists. So they planned Bradagast, Secret Dominion, Quad Guardian, single Warden, single Woldbright, triple Stone Shaper, double Wayfarer, Chuck Dogwood, Kruger the Stormseer with a World White, Sentry Stone with Mannequins, and double Shifting Stones. And then their off list is Kruger with Wold Warden, Wold Wrath, double Wold Weirds, 2 Stone Shapers, 2 Wayfarers, Chuck Dogwood, Druid Wilder, double Mist Riders, double Druids of Orboros, and double Shifting Stones, trip Spike Trap. on their command cards. So some interesting builds here. Very interesting to see how the World Wrath plays out with Kruger. In this list, I like the Double Druid Mist Riders, particularly with the Colossal. I think that's a nice combination. And then this Bradagast list is just a house in terms of boxes it's bringing to the table, armor it's bringing to the table, and the fact that all of these guardians are shield guards to each other. This is going to be a very tough list to crack, even from an armor skew perspective. It's going to be very good at a shooting list right now. I like this Bradagast list a lot. Then we've got a Italian Charter with Fiona the Black, a Galleon, Double Mariner, Toro, Bosun, Dirty Meg, Dougal McNeil, Triple Powder Monkey, Triple Swamp Gover, 2 Press Gangers, and a Commodore Cannon with 3 Spike Traps. And then Burt, Galleon, Double Mariner, Toro, Dirty Meg, Hawk, Douglas McNeil, Triple Powder Monkey, Double Swamp Gover, River Raiders, Double Press Ganger, and a Commodore Cannon. Again, Triple Spike Trap. This feels very much like they're just going to play Bart, but they wanted to have the option of playing Fiona. Because the Fiona list is definitely not optimized in the way that most of the other Fiona lists that are in the field are, namely running the infantry spam. But I think this is a very solid Bart Galleon list. I don't know that Meg is doing much for the list as constructed, being they're essentially the same list with just a caster swap. So, and then we have their other mercenary player playing Rule, playing Gorton with 2 Avalanchers, an Earthbreaker, Gunbreak Gunner, Hammerfall Siege Crawler, Harlow, Steelhead Gunner, Thorstein Hammer, Hearn and Joan, Double Artillery Corps, and 1 Tactical Arcanist Corps. And then an Ostrom list with Triple Driller, Earthbreaker, Triple Blaster, Organ Bokur, Stone Lord, Goval Gordon, Thorstein Hammer, Double Forge Guard, and Technical Arcanist Corps. A lot of beef in both of these lists. A lot of boxes to have to get through. Significant skew. Like both of these lists a lot. And really presents something a little bit different to sort of the latter half of the threats in this team's pairing. So then we have another rep player who is playing Raven with Eternia, Hyperion, Banshee, Force Generator, Triple Mech, Double Assassin, 3 Void Tracers, Silas, House Elaware Swordsman with Officer and Standard and a unit of Spears. And then Thyron list with Banshee, Hyperion, Moros, Triple Mechanic, Double Assassin, Double Void Tracer, 2 units of Elaware Swordsman with Officer, unit of Mage Hunter, Strike Force, Iris Mage Hunter Commander, and unit of Spears with Spike Trap, Double Spike Trap and Barrier for the defenses, and Double Spike Trap and Barrier in both of these lists. The Thyron list is interesting. I don't think it is definitely not the standard take on Thyron in that it is running a Colossal and a pretty significant investment in battle group. where typically the play has been, at least across the majority of the field, has been to just add as many bodies as you can to make the feat even better. So be it interesting to see how this is leveraged by this team, and if going against the general meta flow is going to be beneficial to this particular Swedish team. All right, which brings us to the Orgoth player. They've got a Sabbath list with Berserker Mace, Pneumatic Spike, Double Jackal with both of those configuration, 2 additional Jackals with Arc Node, Mace Claw, 2 of the Hunter Belcher Quad Bolter Tyrants, 2 of the Scything Claw or Scything Flail Claw Relentless Charge Tyrants, Eilish Garrity, a Reaver Commander, 2 Forge Masters, and 2 Warwitch Coven. This is a very strong Sabbath list. This is a build that I've personally used previously. It's quite good. It does everything you want the Sabbath list to be able to do. It has game into infantry, has game into armor particularly, and is pretty decent at giving you assassination vectors, just because of the nature of how all of her pieces sort of fit together. It's a good list. Like I said, I've used this list before. I like it quite a bit. The advantage to having Eilish in the list as opposed to a second Reaver Commander in this instance. You always want the first instance of the Reaver Commander. Generally in an Orgoth list, because it provides a lot of nice tools, particularly Tactician, as well as the ability to reroll your caster or another warrior model. In these instances, Eilish gives you the added bonus of being able to have one of your warjacks get Puppet Master. So that is why I like him as the secondary source and not the primary source within a list, because the little bits that the Reaver Commander has can prove invaluable to you. So overall, good list. Got a pretty decent command card package here: Blessing the Gods, Hit and Run, Old Faithful, Power Soul Sapper. So pretty stock standard. Let's get into his Harusk list. His Harusk list, he's running a Berserker Polearm Shield. Berserker, he's running two of those Jackals. 2 Jackals with Berserker, Polearm, and Assault Shield. Running 2 additional Jackals for a total of 4 with Arc Node, Maces, and Assault Shield. Running 2 Relentless Charge Tyrants with Scything Claws and Cannon Shield. A Reaver Commander, Therian Vanek, double Forge Masters, 2 units of Ulker Axers, and 2 units of Warwitch Coven. Utilizing defenses in this list of Barrier and Double Strike Trap. Okay, let's get into this list. This is very much what I'm talking about when I'm talking about an armor skew list. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 jacks, all with shield, all with a caster that gives +3 armor. So it's just stacking the armor buffs. Again, remember, this is a faction that also has access to Inviolable Resolve, so you can really make a piece at a time here nearly unassailable outside of feet, and then under feet you can make it downright oppressive. So this is an army that is definitely going to deliver to its spot. Couple of bits that I'm not 100% sold on. I'm not sold on Vanek in the list over a second Reaver Commander with what he has here, and I mean, Vanek is fine here. Um, I mean, for my taste, I probably wouldn't be bringing her until I had the room for the second Reaver Commander, but that is more my general play style. Let's go through the command cards here because it's an interesting mix. Defense is hit and run, Old Faithful, Sapper, and Savagery. The Savagery inclusion is a little interesting here. It provides some insurances against non-living opponents um, and items that you absolutely have to apply Grievous to. Vanek does provide you with a secondary source of Grievous, which is great as well. The Axers have snacking, which of course helps against living, but against non-living models does not allow for you to chew through them um, and RFP them in the way that you'd want. So provide some assurances. I like both the lists here. I do. They pair well together. This is sort of the peanut butter and jelly combination in Orgoth, at least for myself personally. This is as somebody with a podcast called Tyrants of the Field who plays Orgoth a ton. Um, yeah, these are two very interesting lists. I would be interested to see how often he drops the Harass on the actual table. Like that'd be an interesting information to see. In the context of the team, one of the things I'm seeing definitely on this team is sort of a big armor skew, as opposed to a going wide with a large body skew. We're seeing that even in the red list, with bringing sort of heftier battle groups than we're used to. So interesting list here from Utgard. Interesting selections across the board. They're definitely a change of pace to some of the other lists that we're going to see as we go through this. So hats off to them. Wish them luck. Very interesting composition. All right, and finally, Team Asgard from Sweden. With Asgard, we start off with a new Khador E. Katrina Varanova list. Here we have two direwolves, each with shield guard head, ice hammers, and plow shields. Nice tight 9-point wolves. Two great bears. First great bear is an aggressive great bear with a battle mace and heavy cannon shield. And then the second is repositioning great bear with heavy cannon and dozer. Two bisons. Colden Lord Damien. Magnus the Unstoppable and Invictus. Magaziv Volkova, and a unit of Arcanist. This is an interesting list. I am a big fan of Magnus and ECAT. I think that helps some of the issues that new Khador can sort of have, in that they want a big battle group, but it's expensive to maintain that big battle group. And having some of the workloads shot off to sort of this independent unit combo of Magnus and Invictus gives you a lot of flexibility with where that you put the rest of the power of your list. Double Bison, generally good. Into the right matchups. Again, interesting list. Bringing Sapper, Blessing the Gods, Careful Reconnaissance, Old Faithful, Power Swell, and again Sapper. And that is paired with a Valari list. And that list, you've got Direwolf with shield guard, an ice hammer, and heavy chain gun. Then you have a second direwolf with shield guard, bombard cannon, heavy chain gun. You have a great bear with an aggressive head, a grinder, and a battle axe, and then a great bear with a slammer, heavy cannon, blasting fist, 2 units of battle mechanics, Volkova, 2 units of Arcanist, 2 units of Man of War suppressors, and then 2 units of Winter Corps snipers with hunting dogs each. And then from a command card standpoint, Careful Reconnaissance, Hit and Run, Old Faithful, Power Swell, and Sentry Duty. It's an interesting list with a high concentration in the battle group. You're putting a lot into the Man of War suppressors, which have good days and bad days. They're D3+1 volume fire weapons. When they go off well. When they go off poorly, it goes very poorly. The snipers, I think, are just generally good in Khador, regardless. And again, that's a 10-point inclusion for 2 units of infantry that have the ability to spread pretty wide. The dog gives you cheeky marked target. The infantry have the ability just to put a point of damage, provided that they hit, which is great. It's an interesting set of lists. I think if I'm honest, I like his Ekaterina list a little bit more than I like his Savern list. But I'm interested to see the mix that he plays those two. All right, then we have another Retribution list with an Aspis, Hemera, and a Hyperion. This is with Izeria, with Elithair, Dawnguard Sentinel, Sire, a Fane Knight Guardian, a Fane Knight Scarith Ison, 2 units of Desters, a unit of Shilil Arcanist, and 2 units of Stormfall Archers for the Archer Fund. With Arcane Forces, Blessing of the Gods, Careful Reconnaissance, Power Swell, and Sapper. And then Vyros with an Aspis, Hemera, Triple Manicore, Alethir, Dawnguard Sire, Fane Guardian, a Fane Knight Sereth Ison, Linissa Rissel, Sorceress, 2 units of Shilil Arcanists, and 8 Rysavas Defenders, with Blessing of the Gods, Careful Reconnaissance, Hit and Run, Power Swell, and Sapper. So a little bit different take here on Ret with Legions of the Dawn. A little bit of surprise, being there's not too much of a surprise, being this is a team with double Retribution in it. So someone was going to have to play, if they were both going to play Ret, someone was going to have to play the Legion of Dawn. So interesting inclusions here. Then we have some Storm Legion Signar. We've got Anson Wolf with Corsair, Shield Guard, Heavy Storm Thrower, Voltaic Punching Spike, a Stalker with Relentless Charge, Electro Bombard, and Power Fist, another Stalker with a Relentless Charge, Voltaic Halberd, Galvanic Shield, Eilish Garrity, double Legionnaire Officer, Arcane Mechanic, 2 units of Stormblade Infantry with Legionnaire Standard Banners, 3 units of Stormguard Legionnaires, and a single unit of Storm Thrower Legionnaires with Banner. Defenses of Double Barrier and Powder Keg. Blessing of the Gods, Careful Reconnaissance, defenses Hit and Run, and Sapper. And then that is paired with Athena with a Corsair, Shield Guard, Heavy Storm Thrower, Voltaic Punch Spike. And we have a striker with relentless charge, voltaic hammer, galvanic shield, a striker with relentless charge, voltaic halberd, galvanic shield, another instance of a relentless charge, voltaic halberd, galvanic shield, and then a fourth instance of striker with relentless charge, voltaic halberd, galvanic shield, Eilish Garrity, double officer Magnus and Invictus, arcane mechanic, and double Stormblade Legionnaires. And Blessing the Gods, Careful Reconnaissance, Hit and Run, Old Faithful, and Sapper as the round out here. So this is sort of the peanut butter and jelly pair for Cygnar. You're going to see a lot of wolf lists that look similar to this particular list. There's going to be some different flavor bits that everybody pulls off, but mostly it's a tight battle group. Typically one heavy that's gonna go long distance, and another heavy that's going to be compact and powerful on the attack to sort of take up that feat, and then a bunch of dangerous infantry to push forward, feed upon, ask you to remove as many as you can, and take as many jack attacks as you feel necessary under the feet. So a lot of extra work that this list puts out. And then you have the Athena list, which is just a bunch of do work, high battle group model that is going to go in and make the most out of the rack. So a lot of interesting options here on the Cygnar list, and pairs well with what Sweden has going on here in this particular set. Then you have our second instance of Rhett, who is going to be playing Shadows of the Retribution. You have Thyron, double Aspis, Moros, triple Arcanist, triple Void Tracer, double House Ellower Swordsman, each with Officer and Standard, triple Warden, single Mage Hunter Infiltrators, double Mage Hunter Strike Force, each with double Mage Hunter Strike Force, one of the Mage Hunter Strike Force with a Commander, and then Spears of Syra, triple Barrier. And that is paired with a Gareth list, double Banshee Harpy, double Arcantric Force Generator, triple Mechanic, Soul Hunter, triple Void Tracer, Silas Wishkneeler, 2 units of Mage Hunter Strike Force, one with Iris Mage Hunter Commander, one with a Mage Hunter Strike Force Commander, and Spears of Syra. Double Fire Pit Powder Keg for that defenses, and they're running Arcane Forces defenses, Hit and Run, Power Swell, and Sapper in their list. So 2 very scary lists here. Really like this particular mix of infantry on the Thyron list. I think this is one that exploits the feat to the fullest. The Aspices are interesting little pieces that can come up, really be annoying in the scenario game, pushing models out of zones, and just generally being outright difficult to deal with at scale with the amount of bodies and boxes you have to get through under feet that are going to be sitting there reposting you the entire time. And then finally, ending it up with our Merc player with our first instance of Dark Operations. He's playing Siphon, double Subduer, double Warden, quad Wrecker, triple Agitator, double Machine Wraith, and 2 units of Mind Slayers and Drudges, with Blessing of the God, Careful Reconnaissance, Hit and Run, Power Swell, and Sapper. And then he's playing Excellent Thexus, Double Subduer, Double Wrecker, Triple Aggregator, Dr. Styges, a Machine Wraith, Magnus, the Unstoppable and Invictus, a Dominator and Horgan Artillery Corps, Double Mind Bender and Dredges, and then Double Mind Slayer and Dredges, with Double Spike Trap and Barrier, Blessing of the Gods, Careful Reconnaissance, Defenses, Hit and Run, and Sapper. This to me is one of the scariest lists and list pairings possible in this particular meta. Cephalix is very good. Dark Operations is very good, particularly into a lot of what is out there today. So unless you're running a true armor skew, this is very scary if you're running one of the infantry skews. So some great little bits here in these lists. These are pretty classic of what you're going to see. Some minor flavor changes across the board, but really, yeah, these are two very solid Dark Operations lists. So again, Sweden Asgard has some very interesting lists. It poses a lot of strong questions. You've got a Dark Operations list. You've got an excellent Thyron list in here. You have the Wolf list in here. And then you follow it up with two sturdy Legions of Dawn list and an interesting set of Khador list. It's a hard team that's gonna match up well against the field. You're asking the players to have to solve three hard problems, and then have two questionable matchups the rest of the way out. Like this is a good team comp in my opinion. Sweden Asgard has very interesting. Very interesting, very hard questions that it's asking across the board. Be interesting to see how it plays out in practice. All right, so let's jump over to Canada. Canada is bringing again a single team, and they are bringing triple mercs. So we're going to see a lot of different flavors of merc in this list. We're going to in this particular set. Quite interesting stuff. All right, so we've got an Exelon Thexus, Double Warden, Single Wrecker, Double Agitator, Styges, Triple Machine Wraith, Magnus the Unstoppable and Invictus, Dominator, Double Dominator, and Hogenhold Forge Guard, Double Mind Bender and Dredges, and Double Mind Slayer and Dredges, Double Powder Keg Barrier, and they're running Careful Reconnaissance, Defenses, Hit and Run, Old Faithful, and Power Swell. And then a Siphon list with Triple Subduer, Quad Warden, Double Wrecker, Triple Agitator, Dr. Styges, Double Machine Wraith, Mind Slayer, Blessing of the Gods, Hit and Run, Power Swell, and Sapper. And again, we just see a lot to have to get through on these two lists. You've got a giant armor skew and box skew under Siphon, and then you have a body block brick with Thexus. With some very interesting pieces. The Magnus and Invictus, I think, plays very well into what Thexus is trying to do here. A lot of good, strong choices here, which is unsurprising, being it's a Corey Doyle list. So pretty unsurprising there. Then we jump over to Italian Charter. We've got a Captain Bartolo Montador, with Galleon, Double Mariner, Nomad, Rover, Dirty Meg, Douglas McNeil, Triple Monkey, a single Gabba River Raider, Lady Iona and Master Holt, and 5 press gangers, triple powder keg, with Blessing of the Gods, Careful Reconnaissance Defenses, Old Faithful, and Power Swell. And then we have a more traditional Fiona the Black Italian charter list with Scallywag, Double Swashbuckler, Black Bella, Bloody Bradigan, Bosun Grogspar, Doc Killingsworth, First Mate Hawk, Lord Rockbottom, Triple Powder Monkey, Lady Iona, Master Holt, 4 units of Press Gangers, 4 units of Sea Dog Pirates, 1 with Master Walls the Quartermaster, and the Devil Shadow Mutineers. Triple Spike Trap. Careful Reconnaissance Defenses, Power Swell, Sapper, and Savagery. So again, body skew to the max, and then can you get through a galleon and get to Bart? So again, nice, tough list pairing out of Italian charter. Would expect nothing less. Then we have our convergence player. So we have Ryan, Cypher, Corollary, 4 modulators, and a prime conflux. Assertion Servitors, Destructotron 3000, Optifex Directive, and a Transverse Enumerator. Triple Barrier, Arcane Forces, Defenses, Old Faithful, Sapper, and Spotters. Then we've got a lock with Cypher, 3 Conservators, Corollary, Diffuser, Prime Axiom, 2 Algorithmic Dispersion Optifex, or a Algorithmic Dispersion Optifex, Attunement Servitors, Fustrum Locus, Optifex Directive, Transverse Enumerator, Double Powder Keg Fire Pit with Defenses, Old Faithful, Power Swell, Sapper, and Savagery. So again, continuing the theme of being very hard to deal with across the board. Okay. Yeah, continuing the theme of being just something to have to get through. A lot of boxes. Two very cagey convergence lists. I think these are sneaky. Mostly because we don't see a lot of convergence currently. So having it in the mix, I think, is always, you get a little bit of a dark horse factor, which I think is nice. Particularly when you're bringing beatings sort of across the board the rest of the way, and then you've got the convergence list that people are not going to have a lot of reps into. So I think it's a strong way to pick up some wins and to create some real chances for your team. And to help in that matchup pairing process, the psychology of having lists that people haven't spent a lot of time playing into is interesting. I like the choice here of the inclusion of convergence. And then we have New Kador. We have a Valari list with a Great Bear running a Slammer Head, a Heavy Cannon, and a Blasting Fist. And we have another Great Bear with a Slammer Head, Heavy Cannon, Blasting Fist. Third Great Bear with a Slammer, Heavy Cannon, Blasting Fist. Double Bison, Alexia, Queen of the Damned, Battle Mechanic, Volkova, Prisoner, 10-28-22, an Arcanist, a unit of Manowar Suppressors, and again, double Sniper with Hunting Dog. It's an interesting list. It is built to sort of pound on you until you start to close on Valari, at which point Valari gets to throw out a kill order or feat and throw out 3 kill orders, and then everything in the list, like the suppressors and the snipers, start to do some additional work on top of the Slambo bears. I'm a big fan of the Slambo bear. It does good things. With Valari, it's a very interesting inclusion to have those three in his battle group. I like the trim down variant with the blasting fist. It's nice, tight 13 points. The inclusion of Alexia is very interesting here. You're really using her more for just being a good close quarter solo, is what I'm looking at and imagining here, and then throwing out her ranged spell in the interim. Prisoner's going to do prisoner things. It's an interesting piece. The Manowar Suppressor's single unit is interesting. I see it with Valari. I'd like to get this one on the table a little bit, play with it, see if it's something that works for me. And then they're running again, double fire pit and barrier, so very much making sure they want to hit you as often as possible. There, and then they're running a Baronova list to pair with it, with a Shield Guard, Bombard, Plow Shield, Wolf, a Great Bear with, they're running 4 Great Bears, each of them with the aggressive head, the Battle Mace, and the Battle Axe, Double Bison, Prisoner 10, 28, 22, and Double Arcanist, Double Barrier Powder Keg, Careful Reconnaissance, Defenses, Old Faithful, Power Swell, and Savagery. This is a very interesting list. You are going exceedingly battle group heavy with ECAT, which I like. And it's a very interesting take on that battle group because you are playing essentially with no battle group range attack outside of a single bombard cannon. You're asking the Bisons to do most of the heavy lifting at range, which honestly the Bison can do. Yeah, Prisoner does prisoner things, and the Arcanists keep the battle group full. It's an interesting list. I think it utilizes a lot of the Baronova tools in sort of interesting ways. It's a wall of beef you got to get through. It's a nice, tight, compact list that's going to play very well in a high-timed, high-stressed environment. I like the call. It's an interesting list. I want to get some reps in with it personally. So I like this one. I like this particular pairing out of the Canadian team for Khador. And then last but not least, we have a Rule Guard list with Gorton, Quad Basher, Quad Driller, Balthasar Bamfist, Gundar the Wasted, Ogren Bokur, Thorstein Hammer, and 3 units of Tactical Arcanist Corps with triple Powder Keg. Careful Reconnaissance, Defenses, Hit and Run, Old Faithful, Sapper, and then an Ostrom list with Double Basher, Triple Driller, Earthbreaker, Balthasar Bamfist, Gunrun the Wasted, Double Ogren Bokur, Thor Steinhammer, and Double Arcanist Corps with triple Spike Trap. Blessing the Gods, Defenses, Old Faithful, Savagery, and Sentry Duty. So again, another Wall of Beef list. Wall of beef pairing in the Dwarves here. The rule to make it a very tough go into the mercenary heavy Canadian team. So we've gone through 4 teams, and we're at almost an hour. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this off as a part 1, and then we will go through some other teams and release some more. So thank you for listening, as always, and enjoy WTC. Good luck to all of the teams, and we will be back with some more episode breakdowns of team lists.